everyone. This is Crystal with Catching Up with Crystal. I'm so glad to be with you today. For those of you who are new to my channel, I'm so glad that you found me. For those of you who are not new but are enjoying the content, welcome back and thank you for staying loyal. This is a brand new channel. I am trying to grow my subscribers. I'm trying to improve my videos. I can't do it without your help. Please like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you know when new content is posted. This is a channel that is targeted towards women of color. However, if you're not a woman of color, still welcome. If you're a man, still welcome. But this channel is focused towards women of color who are interested in traveling. I enjoy traveling. Come along with me while I do so. It does not always entail leaving the country, although I do get out the country as often as I can. It will also talk about health. It will talk about emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, and well-being as a whole. Okay, because in order for us to be whole, all of those things must be taken care of. We will also talk about life and life events. Okay, so once again, please hit that bell so you know when I post new content. Hit that like button so I know that you like the videos, and please subscribe to my channel. Jumping into today's topic. So today's topic is kind of a serious topic, but it's a topic that needs to be discussed. So, do you know what a will is? So, if I had $1 million, which I don't, but I might one day, if I had $1 million and I died, I would leave it to various people, including family members, friends, and a few charities. A will, in absence of me being alive to say what my wishes are, will speak for me. It's a piece of paper. Okay? But there's also something called a living will, also known as an advance directive in the medical field. An advance directive or a living will is a piece of paper that speaks to the healthcare professionals as well as family members and or friends or spouses or boyfriend, girlfriend, whomever needs this piece of paper at the time. But what it is an advance directive or a living will is a piece of paper that in the event that you are no longer able to make healthcare decisions for yourself, this piece of paper speaks for you. It is a legal document that speaks for you, that says what you want your medical wishes to be. Okay, that includes whether you want CPR or not. So, or do you want to be on a ventilator? A ventilator is also known as a breathing machine, or you have a tube down your throat. There's enough drama on TV that pretty much everybody probably knows what a ventilator is, and also during the COVID height and peak, it was something that we had shortages of. Okay, so we know what a breathing machine is. And so a DNR stands for do not resuscitate. So what that means is, should you stop breathing, should you naturally stop breathing on your own, the doctors and the nurses will not do anything to restore your breathing. That is a DNR. Do not resuscitate. Okay? What will happen is you will stop breathing. Your heart will stop beating. You will no longer be able to generate enough oxygen to sustain life, and then you will pass away. You will expire. You will die. Okay? Another terminology is called a DNI. Do not intubate. Do not intubate. Do not intubate means do not put a tube down my throat. I may be breathing. I may get into trouble. I may have difficulty breathing. Having a tube put down my throat and connected to a ventilator would help sustain my life. But I don't want that. Do not intubate. So what will happen? You may have some trouble breathing. A tube called an E-tube, an endotracheal tube, would be put down your throat and you would be connected to a ventilator and it would help you breathe, but you don't want that. And so they will not do that for you. And when I say you don't want that, I'm just going over the terminology. I'm not saying that you do or don't want this. This is just me generally speaking. I think this is an important video to make, and it's an important conversation to have with your family up front. And I'll go into the reasons why this is so important, especially for Black people and people of color in general. I'm not speaking broadly about our race or any race of color. I'm just saying that I have worked in various areas of healthcare. One of them was oncology. One of them was hospice. And those are fields where you encounter death on a regular basis, more so than working maybe, med surg or even ICU. People do code and they do die in ICU, but hospice, we already know, within 6 months you're going to pass away. You're going to expire. You're going to die. I'm going to use those terms because people don't know sometimes. When you say, I'm so sorry your family member expired, people don't know what that means. They're not a carton of milk. What do you mean they expired? Okay, they passed away. What'd they pass? They passed you in the hallway? Okay, they died. So everybody knows what death is and died means. So, but anyway. So, oftentimes people don't have their affairs in order, and I want to go over this because the final gift that you can give your family is to have your affairs in order so that there is no arguing, so there is no doubt what your wishes are when the time comes. Okay? Nobody will have guilt and say, I was the one who, here's another terminology, pulled the plug on grandma, on ma, on dad, on your sister, on your husband, on your child, whoever. You have a conversation in advance what your wishes are so that they can say, no, this is what mom wanted. This is what grandma wanted. This is what dad wanted. This is what whomever it is wanted, because a living will, also known as advance directive, is a piece of paper that speaks when you are no longer able to speak for yourself what your wishes are. Okay? And it may not even be that you had something tragic happen to you and you can't speak. It could be you just got old, maybe you got dementia. But when you were within your right mind and you were capable of making decisions for yourself, you had a conversation with someone who said they knew what your wishes were and you expressed them and you wrote them on paper. Okay. One of the things, I've been in several situations when I used to do hospice where the family would be arguing as the person was expiring. Excuse me, it wasn't even just hospice. It was in the hospital, And the people were arguing as the person was expiring, trying to make a decision in a spot. When someone is dying and you need to make a snap decision and the doctor says, what do you need? What do you want? Are we doing CPR? Are we not? Are we ventilating them? Are we not? Are we putting the tube down their throat? Are we not? Is in the moment when someone is dying and fighting the hardest fight of their life, fighting to live, or their body is fighting to die. That's not the time to be making a decision. You have that conversation in advance and you relieve your family and your friends of that burden. Okay, and I'm calling it a burden because it is a burden. And there's a lot of guilt that comes with that for people. So it's a blessing when you have a living will already prepared. It's a blessing because you've already said what you wanted, and it's easy, and there's no guilt, and there's no doubt. Okay? The reason I'm having this conversation with you is today I took my mom to the doctors, and without going into a lot of detail in this video, my mother has a living will that I encouraged her to get a few years ago. And not only did she do a living will, she did the medical and durable power of attorney. And I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of stuff. I'm only going to speak medical because that is my background. And I have a full understanding and experience with the DNR's advanced directives. Not speaking into the legal genre of medical and durable power attorney, but my mom, we had a conversation, and she, delegated me as the person who will act on her behalf when she's no longer able to, and she is getting to the point where she is not able to, and I am making many medical decisions for her. Okay. Me and my mother went to the Olive Garden a few years ago, and we sat down and we had a conversation about what she did and did not want. And I broke it down. I have a sibling. My sibling is kind of in denial, but me and my mom had a conversation. My mom is very religious. My mother has been waiting on Jesus since she, was born. And we had a conversation, and she said, if anything happens to her, let her go. Let her go. She gave me the authority, permission, an explanation to let her go. And we have it in writing, and she notarized it. Now, if you have an advanced directive and you have an opportunity to get it notarized, you should. It makes it that much more legal. There are forms that you can purchase and fill them out. Some states have different regulations and different, different laws or whatever. But basically, if you have a living will, the doctor, the hospital is obligated to follow through with your wishes. Okay, so my mom, I took her to the doctors today, and I carry my power of attorney papers on me at all times so that people, when I say things, you're always gonna have somebody got to question you or challenge you, and so I pull them out and I say, these are my mom's wishes, and here's the papers. So I have an advanced directive. I'm gonna kind of go over what's in the one that my mom signed, and hers is from the state of Maryland. I don't live in the state of Maryland. I also have a kind of a DNR form, but it's like a shorter version from the state of Pennsylvania. And I don't live in the state of Pennsylvania, but I can practice in the state of Pennsylvania. Okay. So does the person with the advanced directive want CPR? So CPR stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And what that means is the person does not have a pulse. There's no pulse. So no pulse means no heartbeat. So you have no pulse, no heartbeat, and you're not breathing. Okay? So do you want CPR? And so what we see on TV, CPR is kind of, I'm not going to say it's violent when you see it in person. I will tell you, when I've done CPR, I am sore the next day. The person in need of CPR is definitely sore the next day. There is a risk of breaking ribs when you do chest compressions. So if you've ever seen CPR done, like we're pushing on the chest. Okay? We're pushing on the chest to get that heart beating again. Okay? Ribs can be cracked. So if your grandma's 99 years old, do you want to do CPR? And again, I'm not making any decisions for anybody. I'm just keeping it real. Okay. So say you want CPR. Okay. So they're going to do everything. If you say you want CPR, you're what's called a full code in the hospital. That's where you hear that code blue. You are a full code. They are going to do everything in their power to get you back. Okay? They're going to put tubes down your throat. They're going to push on your chest. They're going to put IVs in your arm. They're going to shoot medicine through the IV so that they could try to help get your heart going again. You know, they might hang blood. You know, you will have a tube down your throat and you will be connected to a ventilator if you're not able to regain on your own the ability to breathe. Okay? And that's only after they get your heart started. Because if you're not breathing, your heart is not beating. And that is the reality of that. Okay? All right. So if you want everything done, you are a full code. You want CPR. If you do not want anything done, if your heart should stop beating and you stop breathing after your heart stops beating, or excuse me, I said that backwards. After you stop breathing and your heart stops beating and you don't want anything done, you are a DNR. Do not resuscitate me. Don't do nothing. If all of that happens, I stop breathing and my heart stops beating, don't you touch me. Because if you touch me, it's illegal and my family can sue you. Because you went against my wishes. I didn't want to come back. What'd you bring me back for? I didn't ask to come back. You went against my wishes. And you can be held liable. Okay? This isn't the same as the Good Samaritan that somebody passes out in the street and you do CPR and get them back. That's something totally different. When you're in the hospital and I present you with my living will, my advance directive saying do not resuscitate me, and you do so, your family could sue. I could sue you. If I live, I could sue you. Okay? Let's talk about comfort measures. Comfort measures are where we're going to do enough to keep you comfortable. Okay, so it's going to be, I'm going to do things to relieve your pain. I'm not going to let you suffer. You're going to be okay with me giving you pain medicine. So that might include morphine. And so people get into this thing where they think, oh, I don't want morphine because I'm going to be a drug addict. You will not be a drug addict. One of the things morphine is beneficial for is it is a vasodilator, which means it opens things up and it actually makes you able to breathe easier in addition to relieving your pain. So that is part of comfort meds. Other things that you might want is you might, in comfort measures, oral suctioning, where they will put a tube, not down your throat like a ventilator, but like a little suction where they get the, you'll have an accumulation of saliva and secretions, and they just suck them out, to keep your airway from becoming obstructed. Okay, so those are things. Oxygen is comfort measures. You might be looking rough. You may be still breathing, but you breathing barely or hanging on by a straw. Your heart is beating, barely or irregularly, but we're going to do comfort measures. So you might want comfort measures. You want oxygen, so you're not struggling to breathe. You want pain medicine, so you're comfortable, and not just morphine. There's other meds that can help keep you comfortable. I'm not going to go through them because I'm not here to teach a pharmacy class, but there are medications out here to keep you comfortable or your loved one comfortable. The suctioning, like I said, and then, we will do everything in our power to keep you comfortable until, you transition. And if you decide you want to be a full code, or do you want to be a DNR, DNI? And once again, a DNR is do not resuscitate. DNI is do not intubate. Now, if your family member might be in a nursing home, or you might be at home receiving hospice services, DNI, do not intubate. DNR, do not resuscitate. DNH, do not hospitalize. So DNH, you might choose to die at home or wherever you are. So again, let's recap that an advance directive, a living will, also known as an advance directive, is a piece of paper that allows the health professionals, okay? Because if you're healthy, you're able to speak for yourself. But when you're not able to speak anymore on your own, your living will advance directive speaks on your behalf and says, these are the measures that I want to be taken when I'm no longer able to speak on my own. Please follow them, okay? And like I said, people have gotten in trouble and sued hospitals for not following the protocol. Okay. And again, me and my mother had a conversation. My sister, is not on board, but my mother made her wishes clear. If she closes her eyes and her heart stops and she's not breathing, let her go. That's her wishes. Let her go. My mother is a DNR, DNI, and she does not want to go to the hospital. Okay. I have a copy of her living will, and I want to just go over it so that you know some of the things that might be in it. And I hope that this is helpful to some of you. Please get your affairs in order. You never know when it's going to happen. You could be on your way home from work, get sideswiped by a car, get hit by a stray bullet in the head, and you're brain dead, and your family, from the neck down, you're still ticking, but from the neck up, you ain't never coming back. I'm not even going to tell you what they call that in the hospital, because some people might not be able to handle. I'm not going to tell the secrets of everything, but just know that at that point, unless a decision is made, you're only going to be fed and watered like a plant. Okay. All right. So let me go over my mom's advanced directives here. And I'm going to break it down as I broke it down to her. I'm going to read it to you, and I'll break it down like I broke it down to her. And I'm going to put on my old lady glasses. Okay. Okay. Preference in case of terminal condition. If my doctors certify that my death from a terminal condition is imminent, which means that my mom has something that, say she has stage 4 cancer. Stage 4 cancer, there's, people have recovered depending on the kind of cancer. It's a miracle, but usually stage 4 cancer, the person is going to pass away, expire, die, cease to exist. Okay. If my doctor certified that my death from a terminal condition is imminent, even if life-sustaining procedures are used, keep me comfortable and allow natural death to occur. I do not want any medical interventions used to extend my life. I do not want to receive nutrition and fluids by tube or any other means. Okay? So that's something to think about. Do you want to have feeding tubes? Okay, so if you want feeding tubes, there are, first of all, if you want feeding tubes. Let me tell you truthfully, depending on what stage you're in and how close to death you are, sometimes, and I'm just being honest, and this is not my opinion, this is scientific fact, and I've seen it. It inserting feeding tubes sometimes prolongs what's called a quality death. And what I mean by a quality death is a death without extra struggling, pain, and suffering. What did I say just a few minutes ago about feeding and watering somebody? If there's no activity up here, or if you're no way going to return to the person or any resemblance of the person that your loved ones knew you as, and someone just keeps feeding and watering you, you're going to keep living, especially if you have a young heart or a good heart. It might take a while. And so things happen. Your body over time will start to break down, and the chances of a quality death decrease. Okay? All right. I'm going to read the second part of this. So the first one was, I do not want to receive nutrition and fluids by tube or any other medical means. The second one, choice that you have, keep me comfortable and allow natural death to occur. I do not want medical interventions used to try to extend my life. If I am unable to take enough nourishment by mouth, however, I want to receive nutrition and fluids by tube or other medical means. So what that means is you may be able to take sips of water, you may be able to eat a little bit, and you may not even be able to eat at all, because what happens is you become a risk for choking and what's called aspiration pneumonia. We've all done it. You ever drink something too fast and it comes out your nose and you start coughing, and that's, you aspirated it. And when you're healthy and walking around, you're able to fight that off. But for people who are laying on their back in the bed, that fluid or food pulls in their lungs and causes pneumonia, and then they get sicker, they have trouble breathing, they become in pain sometimes. And see, this is what I mean about a quality death versus a death that's not quality. So would you rather, and again, I'm not making decisions for anybody, I'm just saying, would you rather like to breathe easily, or would you like to breathe with, try to breathe and get enough oxygen through fluid and food that might have accidentally got sucked down your throat? Okay. Another choice is try to extend my life for as long as possible using all available interventions that in reasonable medical judgment would prevent or delay my death. If I am unable to take enough nourishment by mouth, I want to receive nutrition and fluids by tube or other means. That person, if they select this, is a full code. They want everything and anything to save my life and keep me on this planet. You give it to me. Give it to me. I want it all. Okay? Versus the first one, keep me comfortable and allow my death to occur naturally. I do not want any medical interventions used to save my life. I do not want to receive nutrition and fluids by tube or any other means. That person there wants to be a DNR, DNI. Do not resuscitate and do not intubate me. If I stop breathing and I stop, my heart stops, let me go. So full code, we're doing everything. We're pulling out all the stops. We calling the big guns, big drugs, doing it all. Give me the oxygen, give me the pills, give me whatever. Versus don't do anything. That's the difference between a full code and a DNR, DNI. Okay? If my doctor certified that I am in a persistent vegetative state, a vegetative state is ain't nothing going on up here. Okay? Or you are no longer anywhere with the person that everybody knew you are no longer there. You were just, your eyes may be open, but they're open. You're not comprehending anything. Okay? If my doctor certified that I am in a persistent vegetative state That is, I am not conscious and not aware of myself or my environment or able to interact with others, and there is no reasonable expectation that I will ever regain consciousness. Let me tell you, usually it's not going to take long. They're going to make a determination whether or not it's realistic that you're coming back. If they do 3 EEGs, which detects brain activity, if there's no brain activity, they're not going to be doing heroic measures with you. Okay? I'm just going to be honest. So, keep me comfortable and allow my death to occur. And I do not want medical interventions used to extend my life. I do not want to receive nutrition and fluids by tube or any other means. That person, if they become vegetative and they're no longer conscious and they're not aware of their surroundings, and they will likely, based upon the opinions of more than one physician, it's not one person making decisions for your life. There is a whole ethical team. So a lot of people don't know, behind the curtains, a lot goes on in healthcare. There's an ethical team that is specifically put together not to cause harm to people. People talk about, there's a group of nurses, doctors, people in upper management, that make decisions behind the scenes that the general public don't even know about. But nobody's going to be making decisions to purposefully harm anybody, just so you know that. So once again, if this person is not expected to ever regain consciousness, they are likely, even if they say that they want to be a full code, they will code you. But they will code you only but so many times, because what happens is every time you code somebody, sometimes there's progressive damage that's done. Remember, every time somebody is coded, that means they're not breathing. That means they're not getting oxygen to the brain or to any of the vital organs in their body. And so lack of oxygen, called anoxia, causes tissue damage and death. So imagine if you already are in a vegetative state and nothing is going on up here anyway, for whatever reason, and then I stop breathing and my heart stops and I don't get oxygen. Okay, 6 minutes for a healthy person can cause brain damage. I mean, there's different stories. I'm not saying this is set in stone with the 6 minutes, but that after 6 minutes, tissue death does occur. And so if they keep coding you, what do you think is going to happen? Eventually you're going to probably go ahead anyway and die. There are people who linger. Again, everything I say is not set in stone. I've seen it all. Well, let me not say I've seen it all. I haven't. I've seen some stuff. Okay? I'm not even going to tell you some of the stories I do know a story that is terrible. I don't know if I want to share it, where they kept coding this man. The family wanted him coded because they were living off of his Social Security check. And if he died, they wouldn't be able to afford, where they were living. This man was apparently the sole supporter. He was an old man. Pop couldn't even die in peace. These freeloaders kept demanding he be coded so that they wouldn't lose the Social Security benefits and, whatever benefits they were mooching off this poor man. So I saw that, and eventually the ethical team met. And I don't want to say eventually, like it took them a while. The ethical team met, the ethical committee met, and just was like, no, there's nothing going on up here. It's torture at this point to keep coding this man and bring him back for what? He was not going to live. Okay? These people aren't playing God. I don't want you to think that they're playing God. But that's another conversation. And that's another form of opinion. And, we have to look at people as individuals. And I do know about the God complex with doctors and all of that. But that's another topic. That's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about advanced directives and living wills. And I hope I'm not rambling too much. I want you to really understand what it's about. Okay. If my doctor certified that I am in an end state condition that is an incurable condition that will continue in its course until death and that has already resulted in the loss of capacity and complete physical dependency. Okay? So this person has an incurable disease, could be kidney failure, doesn't have to be cancer. There's other diseases out here besides cancer that'll kill you, in a very short period of time if it continues its natural course. That's exactly the definition of hospice. And hospice isn't a death sentence either, but the definition of hospice is you have a disease that, should it continue along its normal course, would bring about death within 6 months. However, I have seen people be on hospice for years. So if someone ever tells you, we're doing hospice, don't get too upset. Do your homework, because it doesn't always mean immediate death, but just like cancer doesn't mean a definite death sentence. There's been so many milestones made in cancer research, but that's another topic and I digress. But this person is appropriate, it sounds like, for hospice, that they're at an end stage in their condition that's incurable, and it's on course for death. And so you want to decide, do you want to be a full code? Because you're going to die anyway. And to be honest, depending on how medically you're fragile you are, if you're already, in a compromised state, they code you, they could kill you in the code just because you can't take it. Your body can't take all that trauma. Once again, all that stuff you see on TV, code blue, and the fine doctor comes walking in, and, the sexy nurse and all of that, whatever, and code blue, everybody's running. Listen, it don't go down like that in real life. First of all, I don't know where all these sexy doctors are. I mean, there's a couple of them. Usually they're cute med students, but that's another story. And I don't know what happens, whatever. It ain't like you see on TV. Okay, codes are very traumatic. They're painful to the person. I mean, like I said, I've been so sore the next day after a code, because if I'm on the chest and I'm doing chest compressions, that's a lot of muscle using. Even if I'm bagging the person with the Ambu bag, that's a lot. Like, you're sore, you're running. There's a lot of adrenaline. It's a lot of physical activity for the people who are doing it and the person who's laying in the bed. And again, ribs can be broken, teeth can be cracked, lips can be split, trauma to the airway can occur. There are many things that can happen. Okay. Pain relief. No matter what my condition, give me the medicine or other treatment I need to relieve pain. And really, to be honest, they're going to do that anyway. Nobody wants you to suffer. Even if you can't speak, they will anticipate your needs. A good healthcare team will anticipate your needs. I have cancer and I'm not able to speak anymore. You have cancer. We're going to assume you're in pain. You may not be, but we're going to assume, but we're going to keep you comfortable. Okay. If for some reason, even drug addicts get pain medicine. Just because you're a drug addict doesn't mean, you don't experience pain. And that's another conversation for another video that I don't even know if I'm going to do, because this isn't what this channel is about. But even drug addicts get pain medicine. It's just, they're medicated differently because, they've filled their bodies for so long with so much junk that they have a different pain tolerance level. But that's another story for a different time. Okay. If I am pregnant, my decision concerning life-sustaining procedure shall be modified as follows. So this is something that maybe for a young woman would consider. Do you want to save you or the baby? You're married or you're not, whoever, you got a man, whatever your situation, you're pregnant, something goes down, the focus is going to be on you, the baby. I can't make that decision. Okay. I will say, if there's nothing in writing, they're going to try to save you. They're going to try to save both. To be honest, they're going to do everything in their power to save both mother and child. But if it comes down to it, they're going to say the mother. if there's nobody, no written, documentation to instruct them on what to do. All that drama you see on TV, the doctor runs out to the husband. Who do I save, the baby or the mother? Oh, okay, whatever. They're going to try to save you. They're going to try to save both of you. You can always have another baby, hopefully. They're going to try to save the mother. Okay? All right. I realize I cannot foresee everything that might happen after I can no longer decide for myself, and this is still referring to a pregnant woman. My stated preferences are meant to guide whoever is making decisions on my behalf and my healthcare providers, but I authorize them to be flexible in applying these statements if they feel so will be in my best interest. Okay. Or, I realize I cannot foresee everything that might happen after I am no longer able to decide for myself. Still, I want whoever is making decisions on my behalf and my healthcare providers to follow my stated preferences exactly as written, even if they think that some alternative is better. And here's the thing about that. These are your wishes. Everybody has an opinion, but these are your wishes. And on the power of attorney, the medical and durable power of attorney from the state of Maryland, which allows me to make medical and financial decisions for my mom. You want durable. So if anybody's listening in Maryland, you want medical durable power of attorney, because it means you have, if that's what the person wants for you, but for me, it allowed me to handle my mother's finances as well as her healthcare decisions. When the time came, I didn't touch my mom's stuff. She was doing her thing. And then little by little, she has gotten to a point where she needs me to step up. And I do, and I have. Okay. So, and there has been situations, like I said, I took my mom to the doctor today and I put my 2 cents in there. Okay, that's your, he said something, I said something, and, I know what my mom wants. Case closed. Okay? I'm her advocate. My mom put me down as her choice of an advocate. So my mom can't fight on her own behalf, but I can. And I have her signature, and it was notarized, backing me up. I have no guilt. I have no doubts. I have not second guessed anything. Me and my mother, like I said, went to the Olive Garden, sat down, had lunch. I explained everything to her, what it meant. She was okay with it. She was waiting on Jesus. She's still waiting on Jesus. And when Jesus comes and gets her, she's going. And she's going with no tubes down her throat and nobody pounding on her chest and breaking ribs. And she, hopefully will just close her eyes one day and go in her sleep. Doesn't everybody want to go that way? Okay. My mother signed this, and in Maryland, it says, by signing below as the declarant, which is my mother, I indicate I am emotionally and mentally competent to make this advance directive and that I understand its purpose and effect. I also understand that this document replaces any similar advance directives I may have completed before this date. So make sure you keep that information. If anything changes, just listen. I've seen it happen. People have changed their mind. They might have, said it, but there's nothing's written. So if you give the hospital an old power of attorney, if you give the hospital an old advance directive and you didn't update it, they're going to go with that old one. Just like the will. If you give, I have $1 million and, I was going to leave it, to my man, and then he cheated on me, but I forgot to update it, and I decided to give everything to my kids, and I told my kids they was getting everything, but I forgot because this dude was with me maybe 10 years ago. When I die, he gonna get $1 million. Keep your paperwork updated, please, colored people. We are so bad sometimes. We're getting better, but we are so bad sometimes. Keep your paperwork up to date. Keep your wishes up to date. Keep your legal stuff up to date and make it easy to find. Don't have it in a junk drawer. Don't have somebody tearing up the house. Let people know I have an advance directive. This is the person I have selected to be in charge should I not be able to make my needs known anymore. This is where it is, and tell everybody from the mountaintop. Tell everybody, whatever your wish is. If I die, you better do everything. Girl, don't pull my plug. Or if I die, let me go. Don't nobody want to be here? Whatever it is. I'm not saying I want to be here. I'm saying you tell everybody and as many people as you possibly can. And you tell everybody that you have an advance directive. So that what happens is when you tell many people what your wishes are, people have conversations with each other, especially at the bedside, because people are uncomfortable. They sometimes don't know what to say. So they talk about, oh yeah, girl, she said she wanted this and she wanted that. Ask people what they want. What do you want? I know what I want. I want to be on my feet when I die. I want pink slippers. I want to be buried in a pink nightie. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I want. With a Bible under my hand. I want to look like I went to sleep. That's what I want. And here's the thing. When you actually sit down to do an advance directive, it's very emotional. It's very emotional because you really have to decide, okay, I want this, but I don't want that. I want this, but I don't want that. Okay? Like I might want oxygen, but I don't want a feeding tube. I want IV fluids, but I don't want artificial food in a tube going in my stomach. I want oxygen, but I don't want a tube down my throat. I want pain medicine. I want to be comfortable at all times, but I don't want, continuous pain medicine running 24 hours. I mean, be specific. This is your paper that's speaking because you are no longer able to run your mouth and say, this is what I want. Say it loud. I want this, whatever it is. Okay. At the end, now my mom was pretty good. We had a conversation and she's pretty good. As far as organ donation, had a conversation. That's another thing. Have that conversation about organ donation. Nobody's killing you faster to steal your organs. I know some people believe that. The organization is called The Gift of Life, and they will come if you have opted to donate your organs. They will come and they will what's called harvest. The cornea, maybe from your lenses of your eyes, skin for burn victims, your lungs, your heart, your kidneys, if they're viable, meaning if they are in good enough condition, depending on what you died from. If you had cancer, they're not taking them, sorry. But if you had a car accident, there's plenty. Your kidneys could be harvested if you were young. If you weren't 100 years old already, nobody's going to want to transplant a 100-year-old heart and a 21-year-old kid. But say what you want. That's the gift that keeps on giving, is organ donation. Okay? So, last part. If I have written my wishes below, they should be followed. If not, the person I have named should decide based on conversations we have had, my religious or other beliefs and values, my personality, and how I reacted to other people's funeral arrangements. My wishes about the disposition of my body and funeral arrangements are. Now, my mom already told me where she wants to be buried, and that's all set up. But what she did say is, I do not want to donate any organs or tissues, and that is my mom's personal wish. There are religions or there are people who believe the body should go whole. You know, some cultures believe the person, you know, can't get into heaven unless they are whole. Or, you know, I'm not going to go into a big religious thing and break down different religious beliefs, because that's not what this is not what this video is about. This video is about advanced directives. Advanced directives, living will, same thing. When you are no longer able to speak on your own behalf, the paper speaks for you. I want this. Tell as many people as possible. Like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Life is what you make it, so make the best out of life.